class. My presentation is the mental versus physical aspect on an athlete's performance. So my hypothesis or thesis statement. I hypothesize that an athlete's success is due to the fact that he or she has the right mental mindset rather than just the physique or physical attributes. So my objectives are to explain the importance of mental strength, to explain the link and difference between the mind and body, and to prove with proven fact that an athlete's success is because of a proper mental mindset. So sports and athletes. So sports are basically games that people play over the centuries that use physical energy and body exertion to perform goals. Usually it has teams, or there are individual sports like tennis and golf. And the sports linked to the body. So sports you have to have the right physical body. You have to be strong mentally and physically. And there are athletes, the people that perform these sports. Athletes, most of the time, when you see an athlete, you think of someone who is strong and buff or has the right body. And that's okay, because when I think of athletes, I think of the same thing. But I think it's wrong that when people think of athletes, just the body comes to mind, and they think that the body is more important than their mental mindset, which is physical over mental. People believe this just because they see the body, and they think that that is the only thing that is performing, and they think that that's the only thing that is important to an athlete's success. So my background research. So first I did some research on my topic, and I came across an article that stated that had championship competitors versus just contenders. And they looked at athletes like Usain Bolt and Tiger Woods. And what basically they learned was that what separated them from the rest of the people was the pre-game state of mind. Before the game, they went into a zone, not just the day of the game, but the days before the game when they were training, and they were always focused. They had a mental mindset that they would use, so their mental mindset was that they would not lose, that they would accomplish any goals, and they would take their body to the next limit. So they had a focused pre-game state of mind. And especially for endurance sports, you have to have the right mental mindset, because especially for Usain Bolt, who's a track star, who runs track, even though he sprints, people like Adriel, who runs long distance, your body can carry you a long distance, but if you don't have the right mental mindset, you can't push yourself to go farther when you're tired, no matter how good your body is. So, fears. Usually fears are what hinder and hold back people from reaching their peak performance. And their peak performance is how high you can get as an athlete. Usually fears are caused by past experiences like if you've been defeated or you've been embarrassed while playing a sport in the past, or pressure. If you look at LeBron, pressure to perform. If you look at LeBron James, when he first came to the Heat, he had the expectations upon him to perform at the highest caliber. And that pressure had the weight of a city and many other people on his shoulders, and he couldn't perform in the first year. The effect fear can have on an athlete's performance. So basically LeBron, he had the pressure and the fear that he would not accomplish his goal, and that hurt him, and he didn't win the championship, which he was trying to do. When you're dealing with fear, the only thing you can do is, when you have peer pressure and the effects of the media, you have to just forget about all that stuff and get into your own mindset, and you just have to go out and perform to your best of your ability. And at the end of the day, you can know that you did your best, and there was nothing else you could do. So mental and physical performance. An athlete is supposed to have mental toughness, mental strength, and mental toughness. You can't just have a body and be strong. You have to have the right mental toughness. So if somebody says things to you to intimidate you or to hurt you, like if you play street basketball, people can defeat you just by getting into your head and getting into your mind. Because you could be the best athlete or be the best athlete on the court or playing soccer gets into your head and messes up with your mind, you can't perform and you're out of the game. And once you're out of the game, you're already defeated. And without mental strength and toughness, you do not reach your peak performance. Your peak performance is the highest level of success you can reach. So if you have the best body, just like LeBron, he has the best body in the NBA, but he could not reach his peak performance because he did not have the right mental mindset. You have to be well-rounded mentally. You have to have confidence, awareness, self-control, and you have to have the right attribute training. So we went through endurance sports, and then another thing is combat sports like boxing, and if you've ever watched UFC, because you have to be confident no matter if the guy is bigger than you, stronger than you. You have to have, in basketball, you have to have the right mental awareness. So especially as a point guard, you have to think quickly and make decisions quickly and self-control. If you are a boxer and you're going against your opponent, you have to have the right self-control, because if you get hit multiple times in the head, you might want to get out of the game and want to get back at him. You might forget about just winning. It's just your mindset and your confidence. So you might lose yourself and do things that you might not do if you were confident, if you had the right self-control. So practice makes perfect. Physical practice and mentally focused training. So another thing that separates good athletes from great athletes is their training. They don't just train physically, they have the right mental mindset. As I said before, they have focus. And the key to getting the best results out of practice is, as I said, the focus and the right mental mindset. So the experiment, there was a study conducted to see if the effect of mental fatigue on the physical performance of an athlete. So they had 32 people, a mood questionnaire, and bicycles. And the procedure, basically 16 people cycled to exhaustion for 90 minutes at 80% of their peak power output after demanding cognitive tasks, which contributed to the mental fatigue. And then they had the control group, where 16 people cycled to exhaustion for 90 minutes at 80% of their peak power output after watching emotionally neutral documentaries. So the results. The results show that mentally fatigued subjects reach their highest levels of exertion and disengage from the physical tasks earlier and faster than the control group. Still though, the mentally fatigued subjects had higher effort ratings. So my experimental conclusion. The results reveal that when you are mentally fatigued, your body becomes tired faster than it usually does, and you cannot perform to the best of your ability. This fuels the fire to my belief that an athlete's mental state and mindset is better than just the physique. Endurance sports. Endurance sports are any sports that demand high energy outputs for long periods of time, like cross country, canoeing, and swimming. The importance of the right approach and mentally in these sports, as I said, you can have the best ability, but if you get tired or the peer pressure and fears of the last competition are on you, your body might be physically equipped to do what you need to do, but the fear might affect you and you might become tired. But if you have the right mindset, you can find a way to push your body even though how tired you are. Athletes of the highest caliber have focus. They've mentally trained, they have mental conditioning, and they have a competitive edge over their contender. So if you look at greats like Michael Jordan and many other great athletes, they trained hard, they worked hard, and they knew that they had that edge over their opponent because they knew that they worked harder. They were the first to practice, the last to leave. So they knew they had that training, the amount of training over their opponent. So they thought, if I've trained harder and I've had these higher skill levels, why can't I beat my opponent? So they have that competitive edge. They will never let themselves lose. They will never disappoint themselves. And they have the ability to motivate themselves. So if you're tired or you don't have the energy to go on, you can just look at the crowd or look at your mom in the crowd and see her or see anybody just screaming and shouting your name, and you can convert this into energy to complete your task. So my conclusion is, based on the results and tests, the right mindset is definitely more important than the physical body. If your mind is out of the game, best body and you have the most muscles or you're the strongest, it doesn't matter if you don't know how to use that muscle to bring the best performance out of your muscles to become better than everybody else and get the highest success as an athlete in your career. Thank you.
What was used to cause the test subjects mental fatigue in your training?
They had emotionally demanding tasks. They didn't really elaborate on that, but they had, this is said they had emotionally demanding tasks. Mr. Reed?
Lansiquot, you mentioned that LeBron James suffered his first year of performance based on pressure that he felt.
Yes.
Were there any, was he undergoing psychological treatment or was he doing psychological testing during that time to confirm that is indeed what was the case, or was that anecdotal? Was that what he said happened?
Yeah, at the interviews, he said that he had the pressure to perform and he stopped having fun with the game, and the pressure affected his performance in and on and off the court.
Do you think that's possible, that he's intentionally lying? Do you think it's possible that he may be using that as a justification for his lack of performance, or?
Ms. Alamo?
Thank you, Mr. Lansiquot. In the study that you presented, the results were a little bit, could you elaborate on those results, on what it is they found? Because you mentioned that the group that was mentally fatigued, although they were fit earlier and they were physically exhausted earlier, they put more effort in. Could you elaborate on that and how that fits into your conclusion?
I found that pretty interesting to see how they were mentally fatigued, but yet they somehow couldn't something. I'm not sure why to the cause of that. I just know that I hypothesized that they would have gotten tired quicker, but the results also showed that they disengaged from the task. But before they disengaged, I say that amount of time that they were performing, they put more effort into it than the control group. I'm not sure why that is.
Could that not challenge your hypothesis or your conclusion that that the mental aspect of it is so important, rather than, or how would this, I should say, how would this fit into your conclusion, your overall conclusion? Or
It could fit in by saying that mentally, when you're mentally fatigued, you don't, it affects your overall performance, because when you're mentally fatigued, your brain is like linked to the body. So when you're mentally fatigued, it affects your body, and your body doesn't have the energy that it usually does.
and yet they still have a higher performance. They still they still put more effort into it than the non-mentally fatigued people. Do you think this merits further research? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lansiquot.